Hello and welcome to Patrick Come Lately Talk Radio. This is Stefan, your host, British by birth, American by choice. The Founding Fathers crafted some remarkable documents that led to the creation of a great country founded on liberty and self-reliance. I have lived in the Euro-socialist nightmare, and I'm doing what I can to return this country to the vision that the Founding Fathers gave us. We need to strive to rebuild that shining city on the hill, for without us, the world has nowhere to turn for freedom. For the next hour, I will be presenting news, views, and guests that help keep the true spirit of America alive. And good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are, wherever you're listening to this program, whenever you're listening to the program. This is Stefan, your Patrick Come Lately, wishing you a belated happy Halloween and a good All Souls Day. And welcome to episode 291 of the show. So, is it just 9 more till PCL closes down and says TTFN for the last time? Folks, send me your emails, keep me on the air. Or tell me, yes, Stefan, it's time to hang up the microphone. Anyway, coming this week to you from the Patrick Come Lately home studio. Not on the road at the moment. It's nice to be home. Enjoying the fall weather here in Georgia. One of the things that we missed down in Florida. You just get a week or two when it's a little chillier. But here, it's not too cold, but it's just nice and fresh. Makes a change from hot weather all the time. So, what's been going on? Since last week, of course, we had the CNBC debacle that they called a debate. Just absolutely disgusting. I have to agree with what many said. Why are we even letting left-wing, liberal, lying state media, biased moderators, why are we letting them moderate the Republican debates? Right? It's not as if the DNC is allowing Fox News Channel to moderate a debate. Right? Think about that. Why isn't Fox News doing one? Why don't the... Anyway, yeah, why doesn't Hillary and the old hippie, why don't they get on... why don't they get onto a Fox debate and have Megyn Kelly, or maybe even a O'Reilly, or a Sean Hannity, or a Mark Levin, or a Rush Limbaugh, as Ted Cruz said for the Republican debates. Why not for the Democrat debates as well? We need to be fair and balanced, right? I have no objection to them using the lamestream media, but then let's do it fair and balanced. And let Fox do some, but also some of the Democrat ones. But I hardly expect that to happen. Of course, then our dear resident of the White House then decided to chime in and say, well, if they don't even want to face the CNBC moderators, how can they even face Putin? I thought the role of the person in the White House was to be someone who brought the country together and didn't denigrate others, didn't try and make them look stupid. Well, he just makes himself look stupid, and he just shows himself to be the asshole that he really is. And apologies if anybody's listening to this in family time. My apologies, but I just had to get that out there. But of course, he can't really help it. He's a liberal, he's a regressive, and some of the stupid things that regressives do, although what he did was, to me, was just below the belt. But let's talk about some of the stupid things the political correctness that is pervading everywhere. Now, I have to say, this first one, thank goodness, was not in America. No, it was north of the border. Our pinko friends north of the border in Maple Leaf country do apparently celebrate Halloween, interestingly enough. I didn't realize they did that. So, a high school in Ontario actually banned a student from dressing up as a mariachi for Halloween, claiming it was cultural appropriation. So Joshua Cerniak, a ninth grade student in a secondary school in Canada, said that he and his friends had planned to dress up as a mariachi band. After submitting his costume to his school's official Twitter account as per instructions. Excuse me, you actually have to ask permission for what kind of costume you can wear? Okay, whatever. He was informed that his costume was too offensive. Now, the reason it was too offensive is because they claimed it was cultural appropriation. Mentioned that earlier. The only problem is Joshua, in spite of his name, is actually Hispanic of origin. So he promptly told the school of his Hispanic heritage, said, "Why can't I represent my Hispanic heritage?" And he was told that while you may not find it offensive, others may, and that culture is not a costume. Folks, this PC nonsense is just going overboard. And there was apparently some Twitter campaign with complaints about allegedly insensitive costumes, and it went viral on the internet. And the school's Twitter account, whoever was running that, actually retweeted images from that same campaign. But of course, Joshua said that the social justice movement has gone too far when kids can't even represent their own culture, and said that he and his friends were still planning to attend school dressed up as a mariachi band. So, wonder if he got sent home. He also posted on the internet, and of course on the internet most people actually support him, said this PC nonsense is just crazy. One more critical commenter suggested that mariachi bands are Mexican and that he wasn't. So therefore he shouldn't get a free pass. But Joshua responded by arguing that Colombia, which is his ancestry, has a long history of mariachi bands. So there you are, folks. Culture is something that can be appropriated by people, and it's kind of strange. These left-wingers, on the one hand, they want to pigeonhole us and put everybody into little boxes, and you're this, and you're that, and you're the other. But when someone tries to represent this, that, or the other, they're told that they're appropriating culture, and that is a bad thing to do. This is happening everywhere. There is a museum where visitors were allowed to wear traditional Japanese kimono. And so social justice protesters staged a sit-in there. Although, on the other hand, Japanese Americans who were wearing kimonos, and they held up signs welcoming others to share their culture. So you see, the social justice people, a lot of the time, they don't even represent the people that they supposedly are preventing this culture from being appropriated. It just makes me nuts. But there's more, folks. In Illinois, yes, that's right, where King Barry comes from, and hopefully we'll be going back to very soon. I wish it were before January 21st, 2017, but unfortunately not. But we get... So the first topic was north of the border, but this one, afraid, is America. Yes, Illinois. Illinois has decided that they will soon be allowing Muslims to wear face-concealing burqas in driver's license photos. Yes, ID photos, which are designed for the sole purpose of identifying an individual in the state of Illinois, will now allow a privileged few within our society to, in effect, wear a disguise, a mask. Which, of course, it negates the whole purpose of having that photo ID in the first place. And think about it, folks. You have to use your driver's license for all sorts of things, getting on planes, etc. Is that going to be acceptable? I think we should pass a federal law saying, no, if you can't identify someone on the driver's license picture, driver's license is not acceptable. Because, very simply, anybody could be under that burqa. They could switch people under that burqa. So why is the driver's license then why is it any kind of ID anymore? And think about the words I just used. It's a driver's license. Well, if we remember, if you're an extreme Muslim and you want your woman in a burqa, she's not supposed to be driving anyway. So we should say no driver's licenses for them, but also no photo ID. They just can't fly. They just can't travel. They can't buy kinds of drugs. They can't open a bank account. Well, they wouldn't do that anyway because they're women and they're not allowed to do that according to their Muslim overlords. But anyway. Now, you might say, well, why is Illinois doing this? Well, here's the convoluted logic that the state officials, the regressive state officials use. We have been getting complaints from around the states from Sikh Americans who were being asked to remove or modify their turbans to get their photo ID. This is from the executive director, Jasjit Singh. Well, just that surname, Singh, I can tell you folks, that is someone who wears a turban, right? But let's think about it. So because Sikhs were getting complaints about being asked to remove or modify their turbans sit up on top of their head. They do not obstruct their face. So how do you then all of a sudden relate that to a burqa, which is actually concealing a face? What's the moral equivalence there, to use a nice regressive term again? There is none. But of course, I shouldn't be saying this. Because of course I'm saying nasty things about Muslims. There is an atheist professor who was on a panel discussion about religious liberty in Georgetown University. He comes from California. That's right, the land of fruit and nuts. Fruits and nuts, right? Nutcases, to be precise. So Professor Phil Zuckerman, he's a professor of secular studies at Pitzer College in Claremont, California. And he happens to be an atheist. And he actually admitted that fear prevents him from criticizing Islam on his blog. He actually said it's acceptable to criticize Christians or Jews because he doesn't have to worry about retaliation from those who follow Christ. So Kirsten Powers, who's a journalist and a Fox News contributor, was another one of the panelists, and during that discussion she asked why Christians are criticized, often brutally, for example, for their beliefs about same-sex marriage, whereas Muslims aren't. And she quoted something that I've talked about on the show before as well, video recordings made by Steve Crowder, the comedian, who asked Muslim bakers in Michigan if they would bake a cake for a same-sex wedding, and they refused. If these had been Christian bakers, it would have been on the front page of the New York Times. So I'm wondering why we're able to have this amicable disagreement with Muslims for having this view, Kirsten said. Why are we not able to do that with Christians? Professor Zuckerman said, I absolutely agree that it is okay for those on the left to critique, mock, deride Christianity, but Islam gets a free pass, which is strange. Oh, sorry, this was Kirsten Powers. She said, which is so strange, because if you care about women's rights, very rightly so, Kirsten. If you care about human rights, if you care about gay rights, then really Islam is much more problematic and much more devastating than Christianity. Sorry, and that was something that Zuckerman said, this professor. And then he went on to say, I would say two things. I know that what keeps me from critiquing Islam on my blog is just fear. I've got 3 kids, so I know I can say anything about Christianity, Mormonism, the Jews, even the Hindus, and I'm not living in fear, which is a testament to Christianity and Mormonism, and that's wonderful. Thank you. Well, that's very nice of him to do that. I would never write the same kind of stuff that I do about certain religions, Judaism, Christianity, LDS, whatever, as I would about Islam. Just straight up fear, Zuckerman said. Dyer also observed that Zuckerman did not play the Crusades card and called Christianity a great friend of secular culture, which it actually is. Which it is. Yes, we have a few extremists who want to be very forceful about things, but in general, Christians are very tolerant. So there you are, folks. It's happening in Europe, it's happening in Canada, and it's happening over here, starting to happen over here as well. And remember, this is a problem, because if Christians and Jews are ground down far enough and silenced and repressed in the once free America, there will be no one left to make a safe nest for atheists and secular culture. So Zuckerman knows that he's actually planting the seeds of his own demise and that of secular culture. He's not willing to speak out and defend his freedom to criticize and dissent because he fears Muslim retribution. Well, I don't, and I will say what I like about Muslims, and there's lots of good Muslims, but there's a hell of a lot of bad ones amongst them. Okay, folks, it's time for a quick break, and I will be back.
The offer of a franchise can only be made through delivery of a franchise disclosure document. Imagine yourself being a leader in America's fastest growing demographic category. More than 10,000 people a day turn 65, and a large percentage are going to need a helping hand at home or in choosing the right assisted living community. Always Best Care is looking for people who've excelled at everything they've done, but they're seeking a new challenge. Always Best Care is one of the fastest growing companies in this explosive field. We're looking for 25 new franchisees to keep our booming business growing. We'll back you up with the strongest award-winning marketing program in the industry, and we'll provide the special training and support that's fueled our growth to prepare you for this great opportunity. All that's missing is you. Call Always Best Care toll-free at 1-800-643-7508. That's 1-800-643-7508. For Always Best Care, 1-800-643-7508. Call today.
Are you worried about losing your home to foreclosure? If you've been threatened with foreclosure or receive legal papers from your bank, you have approximately 30 days to respond. If you do not respond, you could lose your home. You have rights. Act now to protect your rights. You can stay in your home. Many times you can even modify your loan. The bottom line is you can get past this, but you must act right now. Call National Foreclosure Defense right now at 800-296-3006, 800-296-3006. If you've been served by your bank and you're worried about losing your home to foreclosure, now is the time to fight back and save your home. Time is limited, so call right now. 800-296-3006, 800-296-3006. Call the professionals at National Foreclosure Defense right now. 800-296-3006.
If you're diabetic, this message could change your life. Is your blood sugar out of control even when you do all the right stuff? Are you afraid of diabetic blindness and the risk of amputation, as well as all those other side effects? Well, you should be. Is there anything that could help manage your blood sugar? Nobetes is a natural supplement that may quickly and dramatically lower your blood sugar.
My name is Bob Corder. I've been using Nobetes for about 3.5 to 4 months now, and in the first 3 months, I've actually lowered my blood sugars from 500s down to 139, and then it dropped to 88 to 93.
My name is Kirsten. I'm a type 1 diabetic, and while taking Nobetes, my blood sugar levels dropped from 295 to 115 in just 1 day.
The FDA hasn't evaluated these statements, and Nobetes isn't intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. But for many, it's helped drop their blood sugar. So if you've been evaluated with high blood sugar, don't delay. Evaluate Nobetes now. Call 800-551-8302 and get your free bottle. Just cover shipping and handling. Call 800-551-8302. That's 800-551-8302.
This is Patrick Come Lately Talk Radio, coming to you live via the internet, via rebroadcast on WRSDB, the Red State Talk Radio Network, or from the recordings at archives.patrickcomelately.us. And welcome back. This is Stefan, your Patrick Come Lately. We're into the second segment of the show here, and just want to mention, again, regular listeners will know, often mention the beverage that I might be drinking in the evening, especially when I'm at home, when I have more choice. This evening, I've just cracked open a keg of very special beer that I made at the behest of my youngest daughter. She tried some what's called tea ale, which is basically beer brewed and then also brewed with tea, and she wanted me to try that, so I made one for her using Earl Grey tea, and I thought, well, we'll see how that works out. So it took a few weeks to condition, but it's ready for drinking now, and it tastes pretty good. It's kind of, to me, it's a bit like a brown ale. Don't taste much of the bergamot, so it doesn't really taste like Earl Grey, but I have to, even though I say so myself, it's not a bad beer, and it's 6% ABV, so it's pretty strong. If you, and to my listeners, if you're listening live, just a reminder, it's very quiet in the chat room tonight. So if you're listening live, please go to the little speech bubble in your Spreaker box there and click on that and join me in the chat room. You can put your questions and comments there, and I'll answer them during the show. For those of you that are not listening live, you may be listening via Red State Talk Radio, the premier conservative channel with lots of good hosts where I am very honored to be a part of, or the 405 radio, the Left Coast station network that also rebroadcasts my shows, if you're listening via that. Or you may be going to archives.patrickcomelately.us and listening to the recordings, or even at this site, you can also catch the recordings. But if you're not listening live, do send me your emails, stefan@patrickcomelately.us, or go to my website, www.patrickcomelately.us, and click on the contact button, and that will generate a message to me as well. And I do reply to those offline messages, but I also will try to work it into probably into the show following when you send it to me. So, and I love to hear from my listeners. It's nice to know that there are people out there, especially when the chat room's quiet. It's nice to know that people are listening and I'm not just talking into a black hole. Anyway, we were talking about political correctness. And a lot of the time I look back to my mother country, the UK, and see what's going on there and sort of say, watch out, folks. What happens there today will happen here in 2, 3, 4, 5 years. And talking about Muslims, schools in the UK are dropping the Holocaust from history lessons to avoid offending Muslim students. A government study in the UK found that some teachers are reluctant to cover the atrocity for fear of upsetting students whose beliefs include Holocaust denial. Well, shouldn't we be teaching them what the truth is? We shouldn't be allowing them to think that sort of stuff. On top of that, there's also resistance to tackling the 11th century Crusades, where Christians fought Muslim armies for control of Jerusalem. Because, and this, for me, is the dangerous part, because lessons often contradict what is taught in the local mosques. So just because it's taught in the local mosque, it's the truth, and we have to supersede, or we have to let that supersede the truth because it's taught in the local mosque. This is PC gone wild. This is the sort of political correctness that makes blood spurt out of my eyes. I don't know about yours. I mean, this is just, right? So people in the UK are actually saying some schools are using history as a vehicle for promoting political correctness. Yes, they're right. I mean, this is just ridiculous. Another reason why they're dropping these controversial because the Muslims make it controversial, but dropping these controversial topics because they have fears that Muslim pupils might express anti-Semitic and anti-Israel reactions in the class. Well, and admittedly, in England, they don't have a First Amendment. So it's a little more tenuous there, but still, shouldn't they be able to say what they like, and shouldn't we then berate them for believing something that's not true? So this is the UK. I sincerely hope for America that this sort of claptrap doesn't arrive here in America. I mean, let's face it, especially that last phrase, right? The fact that teachers feared confronting students because of the anti-Semitic sentiment and Holocaust denial amongst those Muslim students. So after America has struggled for years to come to terms with slavery and to accept blacks, the civil rights and everything, to allow people to be accepted, and now we're going to allow one people who are anti-Semitic to overrule our First Amendment and say what they like about other people and say really horrible things. Think about it, folks. What Muslims are saying about Jews. If I, as a white person, were to say exactly those same things about blacks, I would be in jail, I would be out of a job, I might even get thrown out of the country. Well, I'm an American citizen now, so hopefully they can't do that to me. But can you imagine what an uproar there would be if that happened? Why are we allowing this to happen? I don't understand, folks. I just don't understand. Anyway, I've had enough of political correctness, and so I'm going to play some commercials. I'll be back.
Patriot come lately. British by birth. American by choice. Just like the Founding Fathers. The voice of the conservative resistance.
Every day, millions of Americans grow more concerned about the future of our great nation. The truth is, over the last century, a small but powerful collectivist movement known as progressivism has debased our politics, our culture, and our currency. We're just a small step from falling into 1,000 years of darkness, as Ronald Reagan warned. Friend, this is Pat Boone with an important free offer on a hot new book called The Great Withdrawal by Craig Smith and Lowell Ponte. This new book explains how we, the people, can end this fatal detour into big government and get back on the path of faith and freedom charted by our founders. Call now for a free copy of the hot new book called The Great Withdrawal.
Call now for your free copy. 800-978-3901. 800-978-3901. 800-978-3901. That's 800-978-3901.
Owe $10,000 or more to the IRS that you can't pay? Call now for immediate help. At the Tax Relief Line, we help people just like you. If you take on the IRS alone, you could be facing levies, liens, even wage garnishments, personal or business tax issues. If you owe $10,000 or more to the IRS, call now and see if you can pay less. They can freeze your bank accounts, even garnish your wages. Call the Tax Relief Line now for immediate help. Our expert team of tax professionals will negotiate your tax problem and deal with the IRS for you. If the IRS is threatening you with levies, wage garnishments, or seizing your assets, call now and see if you can pay the IRS less.
888-789-5043. 888-789-5043. 888-789-5043. 888-789-5043.
This is Patriot Come Lately Talk Radio, keeping the spirit of America alive, a proud member of the Red State Talk Radio Network. And we're back into the show. This is the second half of the show, actually a little bit less than half. I was a little bit late for the commercial break there. Luckily, this is not broadcast directly on a terrestrial network, although Red State Talk Radio does have some of its feed broadcast on terrestrial channels, so you might be able to pick me up. Go to redstatetalkradio.com and check on their schedules, and also check on the affiliates that they have, the ground-based terrestrial radio stations that do take their feed, for details of when and where that happens. Before we move on, just a reminder, again, please tell your friends about the show. And my intention with this show is to wake up America, primarily. Hopefully showing you things that will make you realize that something has to change. We have to change Washington. We have to change our leaders. There is something wrong in our political system. And the only way that we can do that, well, there are two ways. I prefer via the ballot box. We don't want to do the banana republic way with guns. Let's do it through the ballot box, and let's do it. Last few elections, 90% of the incumbents get re-elected. Are we just too lazy to vote for someone else? Let's get some good people in there. I also want to mention a very good friend of mine who's not in the chat room tonight, and that worries me. I mentioned one or two shows ago that Rex, who's often in the chat room, and author friend of mine, he's been on the show a number of times in my Blog Talk Radio days, hasn't been on since I came to Spreaker, but I'm hoping to have that opportunity to do it. But it may be delayed for a while because a couple of weeks ago I mentioned that his wife was in the hospital. Last week things looked a little bit better. She was out of the hospital, but I've been looking on Facebook, and it seems that she is. I don't know. It doesn't look good. So please keep Rex and Marsha in your thoughts. Positive thoughts help. This is a known fact, and please send them those positive thoughts. It seems like they really need them at this time. So I am going to change topics now, and we're going to look at some things that King Barry has done or is threatening to do, etc. Before I do that, I'm going to play some music because it's very applicable after you've heard these next topics. I think you'll agree with me. This is very applicable music. This is from a great singer, what I would like to call Liberty singer called Bruce Ballot, and the song speaks for itself.
You promised us hope and change, got no hope, Bush got blamed, calling down the foreign kings, they don't need apologies, jobs are gone, gas is high, rich vacations make us cry, Obama, you failed us, you're fired. They laugh at us far and wide, but we are here to set it right. Had your fun, done us wrong, now we vote to send you home. Take your home, keep your change, all you do is give us pain. Obama, you failed us, you're fired. Like a lone ranger, we're hip to your game, not afraid of the danger, we don't give a dang. Fearless crusaders, we got pride. Obama, you failed us, you're fired. Yeah. You buy your votes, make new rules, but we the people won't be fooled. We're on to you, media too. Compromise will never do. Had enough sacred cows, your days in power numbered now. Obama, you failed us, you're fired. Like a lone ranger, we're hip to your game, not afraid of the danger, we don't give a dang. Fearless crusaders, we got pride. Obama, you failed us, you're fired. So break out that suitcase, pack up those fruitcakes. Obama, you failed us, you're fired. Obama, you failed us, you're fired. Goodbye.
And that was Bruce Ballot. Look him up on the internet, and I think you can get his CDs at his site or download as well. Great songs he has. This is just one of them. Okay, folks, time for a new topic. And what I want to talk about now, you may remember a while ago we talked about the fact that a federal court judge in Texas had basically told Obama he has to put his executive order to basically grant amnesty to a bunch of illegal aliens. He had to put that on hold while a discussion about its constitutionality took place. This happened beginning of the year, so probably around February time frame. And fine. So the judge said, hey, you've got to put it on hold. And you think, okay, well, that's a court order and you've got to follow that. Well, last June, so just about 4 or 5 months ago, but this was 4 months after the federal judge in Texas had ordered that that these executive order programs should be frozen. The Department of Homeland Security's immigration policymakers, so it's basically people at ICE, apparently held a regulations retreat to discuss different options for open market employment authorization document regulatory changes. Now, what's an employment authorization document? Basically, it's a work permit. It's not a green card. It's not a visa. It's a work permit. A memo from that particular meeting was leaked, and the regime, rather than pausing to allow the courts to assess the constitutionality of its enforcement nullification, has been gearing up to roll out one or more of 4 plans drawn up at the meeting, each one designed to provide EADs, so these work permits, to millions of non-immigrants, including those lawfully present and visa overstayers, crippling the actual employment-based visa system on the federal statute book. Now, how the hell does he think he can do that? That is totally unconstitutional. The Constitution says that the Congress is responsible for the nationalization, and that includes visas. That includes who comes into the country and who can work here. So they're talking about 4 different options. Option 1 provides EADs to all individuals living in the United States. So that doesn't matter whether they're illegal aliens, visa overstayers, H-1B guest workers, and these H-1B visas, they are linked to a company. So if the company stops using the person and the person gets fired, they have to leave the country immediately. I happen to know that because we also have H-1B visa people in my company, and some of them report to me. And recently I had to tell one of them that we didn't have any work for him, and he had to go back from whence he came because the visa was no longer valid. So option 1 would give it to virtually anyone. Option 4, which was the most restrictive, would provide these work permits only to certain unexpired non-immigrant visas. But even then, why are we giving them to, certain non-immigrant visas? You could interpret that to mean visas which have some kind of work attached to them without actually having the person come here permanently. So temporary visas, I can understand that. That would be acceptable. However, giving these work permits to any of the covered individuals, for whatever reason, is in direct violation of the Immigration and Nationality Act. And it is working, obviously subverts the legal system, the visa system, everything that's done. So they had this, can you imagine, they had this conclave, secret, because they didn't make a lot of noise about it, obviously, and just working out ways how they can circumvent the law. Doesn't that just make you absolutely blow your mind, blood out of the eyes, whatever? Anyway, so Obama is not going to give up trying to get those people in one way or the other. we have to do everything we can to stop it. So keep your eyes and ears open, and as soon as you see things happening, contact your congressmen and your senators and let them know you won't stand for it. Maybe now with Paul Ryan we'll have a bit more backbone in the House and also in the Senate, hopefully. Okay, folks, time for my last break I see here. And let me do that, and then we will finish off the last segment of the show shortly.
You can lose 10, 20, 30 pounds or more with Maximum Slim's first ever rapid weight loss guarantee. Today, you get Maximum Slim, an advanced fat and carb blocker, absolutely risk-free. The all-natural ingredients in Maximum Slim are a powerful weight loss combination. The Maximum Slim formula turns your body into a fat-burning furnace that supercharges your weight loss. Advanced fat and carb blocker stops the breakdown of sugar so your body doesn't store it as fat. Today, you'll get both of these products absolutely risk-free with no obligation. Only pay shipping. There are no expensive meal plans or exhausting DVDs. Just take Maximum Slim twice a day. It's fast, simple, and now it's guaranteed. Look, you can start losing weight today or not. Go back to your high school days and wear your favorite jeans again. Guaranteed. Call now and get both weight loss formulas free. Call 800-451-0228. 800-451-0228. That's 800-451-0228.
Doc, you gotta give it to me straight.
All right.
'Cause I'm dying here. I mean, take a look at this letter from the IRS.
Oh, my.
This is killing me, Doc. I tell you, it's killing me.
Cheer up, my friend.
Huh?
The tax doctor is here. My diagnosis tells me that you're going to be just fine.
Really?
The tax doctor will not rest until we find you the best possible tax settlement.
Really, Doc?
Guaranteed.
If the IRS claims you owe them $10,000 or more in business or personal back taxes, call a tax doctor right now. We could save you up to 75% if you qualify. Guaranteed or you pay nothing. Call right now for free details.
800-917-8546. 800-917-8546. 800-917-8546. That's 800-917-8546.
This is Patrick Come Lately Talk Radio, coming to you live via the internet, via rebroadcast on WRSDB, the Red State Talk Radio Network, or from the recordings at archives.patrickcomelately.us. And we're into the final segment of the show, folks. And been talking about Obama wanting to circumvent our visa law and basically just on executive privilege, basically decide who can work here, who can't, which is absolutely not the way it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be arranged through visas, work visas, visas associated with work permits. And this is just a way, again, to circumvent the law, to circumvent Congress, just to do his own narcissistic bidding. Folks, 66 million Americans or more are without work, and these are 66 million that could work, and we're going to bring in more people like this. A lot, well, admittedly, a lot of them here, but as soon as we get Donald Trump in, and he starts the E-Verify and making sure that employers are employing people who have a legal right to work here, then all of a sudden we're going to have a lot more jobs for those 66 million people. But that's not all, as they like to say on the infomercials. So can you remember a number of months ago that Obama said in Syria, we will never have boots on the ground? Yeah, right. Well, his lips were moving. And you know what that means? Yes, he was lying. Because now a group of about 50 U.S. commandos is heading into Syria to help the 4 or 5 people that we trained up for that $5 million. So it's No, sorry, I think it was $50 million, wasn't it, that we spent trying to train up the anti-Assad rebels, and I think we have about 4 or 5 people now who are actually trained up. So that's about $10 million per person. And yeah, you wonder where all that money goes. No wonder that the Democrats can buy all those votes, because that's where it goes. And right, so they're saying these are going to be advisors, and they're going to help coalition forces coordinate with the local troops. Right. But he promised no boots on the ground, and there are boots on the ground, whatever you say. Yes, he lied. The other thing is, the good news is they are sending more aircraft to Turkey to fly from there. And why is he doing that? Of course, in response to Putin, who checkmated him and showed him up to be the weak little girly man that he is. So now all of a sudden he's got to put fighters in there, and also going to put in the A-10 Warthog, which is something that actually the Air Force and the Army are trying to phase out, but it's actually a very good plane because it is the scourge of the terrorists, because it's an ideal plane for attacking the terrorists. It can take hits from their weapons, RPGs, even anti-aircraft type missiles. It's very strong, and it has a fearsome armament that really tears them to shred. But so they are putting those in there, even though they have talked about getting rid of them. That's the only good news. But this is just, I mean, this is typically Obama. And on top of that, well, let's talk about something else. Obama said, if you like your plan, you can keep your plan. If you like your doctor, you can keep your doctor. Well, we found out that was a lie. But it gets worse. How about the following? If you like your Obamacare, you can keep your Obamacare. No, you can't. Co-ops set up by Obamacare are collapsing all across America, and even there are even signs that some of them have been perpetrating fraud, to put it very simple. In Colorado, one is going under. New York, Utah, let's see, where else? I mean, unbelievable. All over America. Yes, so Kentucky, Tennessee, Oregon, one of 2 in Oregon, Nevada, Louisiana went bust in July. Iowa and Nebraska, the Co-Opportunity Health, went into liquidation in February. So out of 24 that were set up in the wake of Obama curse, 46% have failed. Folks, 46% have failed. That is our taxpayer money that is being wasted there. I mean, this is unbelievable. And we don't do anything about it. The Republicans don't do anything about it. Obama vetoes the military spending bill, spending for our brave soldiers, and the GOP does nothing about it. They are a bunch of wimps. We have to get rid of all of those elites and kick them out, because they're just absolutely a total waste of time. Okay, folks, I see the clock has caught up with me again, so I'm just going to remind you, please, share this with your friends. Hopefully the messages I'm bringing you are useful. This is stuff that we need to share. We need to get those fence sitters, get them on our side of the fence, so when the election comes around, we're going to get something good happening. But in the meanwhile, I see the music is starting, so TTFN, folks. Ta-ta for now. Please join me next week. More messages. Thank you for listening to the show. I hope that you enjoyed tonight's topics. Whether you listened live, to a recording, or to a rebroadcast, I appreciate the time you share with me. We need to spread the message of liberty far and wide, so please tell your friends and family about the show. Thank you for helping to keep the beacon of hope burning. This is Stefan, your Patrick Come Lately, signing off. God bless America, and remember, L3, long live liberty.